Hello everyone, Livy here again, this time with a VR to Marlene Teresa, because, so this tag's been around a while. It's called Tarot to the Extreme, but the reason why I'm doing round 1 right now is because Marlene also has a round 2. I'm going to do a video of that too, but of course I had to start at the beginning, so round 1 of Tarot to the Extreme. Again, it's a little bit old of a tag now, I know, by tarottube standards, but I wanted to do it because this is fun. I liked looking at my decks and comparing them. And yeah, so number 1 of round 1 is Minimalist versus Maximalist. Now you might be thinking, based on the box of this one, how could Dream Visions be minimalist, right? It has a lot of bright colors. Even the box is very bright. Well, the reason why I consider this my most minimalist deck, as you'll see in just a second, I'll put just one a little bit to the side, is the fact that, look at this. Yes, it has bright colors, but other than that, is a lot really going on in the background? Not exactly. I don't know. This feels very minimal while still making sense to me. This is like the perfect minimalist deck, in my opinion. Like, look at this. I don't know. Yeah, there's something about this one. This is, to me, this is my most minimalist. Now, I could have had a couple decks in this category, but they're going to be in other places, so I personally didn't want to reuse them. I'll push this a little bit to the side to bring in the little Prisma Visions. Now, you might be able to tell just from this tin that this is a very, in my opinion, very maximal. Oof, why is this tin so hard to take out today? In my opinion, this is a very maximalist deck. Sorry, can't even talk today. I mean, look at the backs. Very detailed. You look at the cards. Very detailed, right? The most maximalist you can get in design. Like literally, like every little bit and bob is in this deck. I mean, I could have also got out the little Cosma Visions. I have that one too, but I just wanted to compare the two tarot today. So yeah, obviously you can see this is very maximalist. Same kind of idea with a lot of color, but this is very minimalist. And that's why I wanted to compare them. This card is so wild. This is definitely like everything I expect from the Nine of Swords. Minimalist, maximalist. Very easy for me to pick. Let me push these out to this. Let me push these out to the side. I have like the wildest setup. I have a bunch of cards this way. A lot of decks that I wanted to show today. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be kind of fun too. I'm just starting to work with this one, but love it, and I wanted to feature it because I do think it's my most minimal. The next category, though, is going to be daytime versus nighttime. And to be honest, there's a couple of decks I could have gone to for this, but I'm going to give my reasons why these feel like my daytime and my nighttime. So, daytime deck, the Smoke, Ash, and Embers. My nighttime deck, Anima Mundi Tarot. Let's start with this one, okay? Smoke, Ash, and Embers. There's something about this deck. I could also say I don't use this as often as I hope I could have used it. And I think it's just because it's harder for me to read. Even though I love dragons, it's harder for me to intuitively read this deck. These are the beautiful backs. I think the reason why this deck is my daytime deck is because of the white, to be honest. I also have now the mini Oak, Ash, and Thorn, but something about that deck doesn't feel as daytimey as this one does for me. There's something about, even though this takes, see, you can see it takes place at night in this card. Like half the cards, see, they take place at night. And so you would think, well, this should be a daytime deck, but I guess it's because so many of the cards, see, so many of the cards look like this also, that this feels very daytime to me. This more than anything, even reading this at night doesn't have the same hit to it for me as it does during the day. Just so I can see some of these details more clearly during the day. And for that reason, yeah, I only really reach for this deck if it's still daytime out. Otherwise, I'm not called to use it any other time of the day. Still a beautiful deck. But yeah, see, so sunny. So this gives me more daytime vibes. I'll push that to the side a little bit. Anima Mundi. This might be self-explanatory for anybody who has Anima Mundi, but most of this deck takes place at either, it could be argued it takes place either at dawn or dusk, or at night. See, nighttime. See, sun fading, nighttime. Oh, this is in reverse, interesting. Kind of gives nighttime vibes. I don't know. I have used it during the day too. It's not to say that I couldn't reach for it during the day. Judgment. But I'm more called to it at night. It gives off more of that energy. So for that reason, this is, especially this one, look at this, the beautiful star. This is my nighttime deck. So, daytime, nighttime, nighttime, daytime, see, making my point for me, daytime, nighttime. Very obvious in my opinion, at least for me. I don't know, maybe other people could argue differently. Maybe they like pulling this one at night and pulling this one during the day, but I just don't personally. So yeah, daytime, nighttime. The next category, as I put these cards away, the next category is best shuffle versus worst shuffle. And you would think that this would take me a little longer to figure out, but nope. Nope, nope. Nope, nope, nope. I knew immediately which two decks were the best and the worst for me to work with and shuffle. If you have these decks, you could either agree and say, yeah, definitely feel the same way as you, or nah. But you're going to see. Best shuffle, Edmund Duloc. Worst shuffle, the Wonder World Tarot. And you're going to see it because I'm going to do it. Edmund Duloc. This is a Los Scarabeo deck. Art compilation. This deck is easily my best shuffle. I'm not a riffle shuffler. I'm an overhand, okay? But I'm going to show you how easy, even with my camera in front of me, because it always like blocks me. Oops. I love how as soon as I do that, I just fuck up all my shuffling. But usually this deck is my best shuffle because the cardstock is smooth. It has a little gloss, but it's not high gloss. And these Los Scarabeo cardstock, see, it's very thin. So normally without the camera in front of me, very easy for me to overhand. Oop, I had a jumper. Curious to see what this jumper was. Cup, Knight of Cup. Fascinating, interesting. Anyways, this is easily for me my best shuffle. My worst shuffle though is this one because rose petal finish that sticks. Look at this. Look at clump, 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 clump. The worst. The literal worst. I cannot. I love the artwork of this deck, but god damn it, I don't like this level of rose petal finish. It destroys me every time. Wow. Stalker. Stalker. This is my card of the month. Keep stalking me. But anyways, best shuffle. Worst shuffle. Next up, though, is confronting versus comforting. And this one I had to think about because, to be honest, I don't think a lot of my decks are confronting. They don't give off that energy for me. But then I remembered. This is definitely my most comforting, the Spacious Tarot. And this one is my most confronting. And you're going to think, why? Well, if you don't know, if you didn't watch it, this deck is in my purgatory box. I took it out just for this video. I'll talk more about that in a second. Spacious Tarot. I have the expansion pack. I shove it in with the rest of the deck. This deck is all about self-care, all about being kind to yourself and being open to the world. This deck is 100% my most comforting deck. There's something about this deck that just feels like the warmest hug every single time. I'm just like, yep, I feel it. I feel this energy, especially this. Just so comforting, so happy. Well, this bitch, sorry, I don't mean to be that rude. But this one is a punk. I talked about this in my purgatory video. This deck decided as soon as I got it to tell me that the end of our working relationship was going to be the Three of Swords. So I knew right in that moment, oh no, we're not going to get along. This is going to be a problem. And to be honest, the few times I tried to read with this deck, it 100% was, it doesn't like me. I thought because the artwork was beautiful and the backs are stunning, I thought this is my jam, this is my aesthetic, this is fantasy, this is going to work. Nope. This deck does not like me. So, comforting, confronting, and that was a lot easier than I thought to do, establish, you know. And yeah, John Bauer's in my purgatory box. I think I need to get rid of it. So cough, cough. If you think you'll have a better time with this deck, let me know if you want it. Because yeah, it does not like me. And that is the sad life. I thought we were going to be best friends, just like the Edmund Duloc. But that didn't happen. So, sigh. Anyways, moving on from confronting and comforting, we have everyday versus every so often. This deck is my everyday, but I need to actually make it my every so often. And this deck is my every so often. In here, everyone knows this already. You can probably tell what this is. My Raven's Prophecy Tarot, edged in orange. This is my everyday deck, and you can tell too because it's also my most disheveled deck. It's got a lot of wear and tear. See, you could tell on the bottom. It has a slight like bowing now because I've used this deck to shit. I love this deck. This was my first tarot deck, which is, I know, kind of a weird thing to say. I feel like most people would not say this is their first tarot deck, but this was mine. This deck I only owned this deck for the span of, I want to say it was at least 2 to 3 years. This was the only tarot deck I owned. And then I finally bought like my second and third deck, I think within the same year, but I didn't use those ever. I still kept using this one. This is my everyday deck. Weird choice, I know, but it is. Versus this one. I bought this one a couple months back, and this is still my every so often because I've barely worked with it. And the only reason why I've barely worked with this deck is because even the images are beautiful. The images I can read intuitively. I understand what's happening in this, and I love the artwork. But the color scheme does not make me reach for this deck very often, which is a pity. I thought I was going to be able to move around it, and to be honest, I haven't so often. Sometimes I have, But for that reason, this is my every so often. It's also very chunky, as you can see. It's a very tall deck. So because I have little hands, that doesn't always work for me. So that's why this is my everyday. This is my every so often. And it is what it is, I guess. But that's the Transient Light, the Raven's Prophecy. I need to start making this one my every so often, though. I want it to last forever. And right now it's not. I mean, actually, yes, it has. Yes, it has. I'll make a fair point. I've owned the Raven's Prophecy Tarot since 2015. And considering I've owned it for 2015 and I use this deck almost like every day for 2 years, it held up pretty well. But anyways, moving on. This category is hard for me. I didn't know what the heck to put in here, to be honest, because I don't like calling decks overrated versus underrated. So I kind of had to pick and choose. As sad as this is mean. This is mean. I don't own one deck I would have said 100% is overrated just because is the Wild Unknown. I don't own it. I don't understand it. Even when it first came out, I looked at that deck and I was just like, what in the hell? Like, why is everyone obsessed with this deck? I don't know. I didn't understand it, and that's rude. And I'll admit that is like the rudest thing I could be saying about that deck. That would have been my most overrated. But out of my collection, overrated, underrated. And the only reason why I picked this one as overrated, despite the fact, I don't work with this deck often either. And the only reason why I call it overrated is only because I have seen this deck around a lot. I feel like if people like this style, it's everywhere. And I don't really think this deck is that overrated either, though. I think it's beautiful, and I love the art. It just happens to be the most overrated that I own, Out of all of them, I would have said that this is the deck that doesn't, I feel like I went through these images a while ago. This is the deck that doesn't have the same, I don't know. It's very popular. That's the only reason why I picked this as overrated. And because I've seen this deck now so often that I'm kind of like, it's beautiful. But do I think this is the best deck we could be getting in the world? Maybe not. Only just because, I don't know. It's also very chunky. It's very big. And what it makes it overrated too is that why isn't this more detailed? I don't know. This is not very detailed, this guidebook. So I wouldn't say this is 100% a beginner friendly deck either because of the guidebook. So that's what makes it a little bit overrated in my eyes. But it's still beautiful. I still love it. I just had to pick a deck that was overrated. You know what I mean? No tea, no shade to this one. This is my most underrated deck because I literally know nobody else who has this tarot deck. This is the Mini Cat Tarot. It is so stinking adorable. If you like cats, if you like cartoony cute things, why the hell don't you own this deck? It's an indie deck. You can get it on Etsy. I have the revised edition. I don't know what the original edition was like, but this is the one I have. It is beautiful. It is a square. Really flexible cardstock, though. If you riffled shuffled, you could still do it. I know this would be a dream to riffle shuffle. It just feels good. It's just cute. It's just everything. I just love it. And I think more people who like cats should own this one, to be honest. Why don't you own it? But, me today, so much tea, so much shade. I don't know why, but this is my overrated. This is my underrated. And finally, my last category for round 1 is light work versus shadow work. And I'm going to be 100% honest. the way I practice tarot, I don't think I necessarily do either one. I think a lot of my practice is somewhere in the middle. I think that sometimes the questions I'm asking or trying to get out of tarot could fall in the in-between space. Medium work, does that make sense? Not light, not shadow, maybe gray. That's the way I operate. So I had to try to think of what was a deck that gave me light work versus shadow work vibes that I own. I'm not going to take it out again. Spacious Tarot, though. I mean, you saw from the images, this deck is all about light work. It's all about being comforting and opening yourself up to the universe and healing, you know. That's why this deck is so beautiful and calming. It's definitely rooted, in my opinion, in light work. Whereas, okay, I love this deck. I don't really see this necessarily as a shadow deck, but I've heard of people who kind of use it this way. And this is the mini, obviously. The reason why I pick this, though, as a shadow work deck is because I hear a lot of people use this deck. Oh, I edged mine in red. I feel like a lot of people use this deck for, what do they call it? Broken child work? Like sad child work? I don't know. So this does give off shadow vibes. This deck also creeps people out. Definitely creeps people out. Not me. I like the art. I think it's surreal and quirky, and it's my brand. But some people are terrified of this deck. Like this, like my partner, he doesn't, he's seen me whip out this deck, and he was like, what in the world is happening here? You know, like this, terrifying to some. So I could see how this deck could be very shadow work. Like, look at even them. Like, there is conflict happening here. For this reason, I would put this in shadow work, but I don't know. I'm so I'm so weird. I don't consider it that way. Maybe it's just, again, because the work I do with tarot is very in the gray. So I don't consider it this category, but this is my light work deck, shadow work deck. And wow, I made that really quick, which is also good though, because I am going to do round 2. Thank you guys for watching. If you have, hope you related to some of these. I'm going to do round 2 soon, so keep an eye out for that. But I hope you enjoyed my choices. And even though I was being so rude today, I don't know what's up. I don't know. Maybe I'm at that. Maybe I have a lot of vitriol today. I don't know why. Just talking about some of these decks makes me a little heated. Anyways, though, thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.